Good evening and welcome to the 2020 Economic Survival and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me once again on this April 22nd, 2020 Wednesday edition. I know it's been a while. There's been a lot that's been going on, but today I would like to jump right into it and talk about these markets. The Dow Jones was up today about 457 points. Closing up about almost 2 percentage points today, but we know that this market is being propped up, that is fake, that it is artificial, that it was on a downward trend. We are in a bear market, and we know that eventually the chickens are going to come home to roost in America, and that's why we're here to prepare. Most of you listening are preparing, and most of you are getting ready for what's coming after we get out of this coronavirus scare. This bug or this health scare crisis that we have. So going back to today's news, as you know, according to CNBC.com, the U.S. economy has erased nearly all the job gains since the Great Recession. Now think about this for a second. We have now over 21 million Americans who are unemployed. And it's just been 1 month into this crisis, okay? This crisis, mark my words, is going to be the economic 9/11 of America. And meaning that this next Great Recession, which is turning it, we're already in a recession. Let's first admit that we are in a economic recession right now, even before most states are trying to reopen. So let's admit that. But if it turns into a depression, coming up before this November election, or if we even have an election, that's another point that I want to get to. Probably talk to you about that later on in the week about what may happen with the whole election thing. But in the meantime, guys, we are heading in a recession and heading toward a depression, despite the 3 stimulus packages passed by the House for this sickness. Okay, so most of Americans, we've got our $1,200 stimulus checks, or still some people are waiting on that check by the end of the month or beginning of next month. The House they're getting ready to pass phase 4 stimulus package, and there's a $484 billion plan which they passed today, I believe it was. They passed the first phase of it. So we know that the Fed is running out of ammo. Interest rates are at 0%. We know that oil tanked, as you saw earlier this week, to negative numbers. The future oil contract tanked, and it just barely rebounded above positive today. I think it's like the $12 or $13. But regardless, oil is crashing. We know that we're at 0 interest rates. We have the only ammo the Fed has left is to print money to oblivion, to print us into a Venezuela or a Zimbabwe situation. But it's not going to be inflation as you think of it. It's going to be deflation, and that's what caused the Great Depression of the 1930s. But this year we're going to have a debt deflation, okay? Because if you look at what we have now, even when those states open, such as Georgia and some of these other states open, people are still not going to feel confident enough to go out and spend money at these movie theaters, gyms, malls, nail salons, hair salon, barbershops, restaurants. And so that leads to the hoarding of cash, because people are saving their cash for a rainy day, just in case things get worse, and which they are going to get worse, which is smart. So the debt deflation theory goes like this. First, you have the hoarding of money, then you have a loss of confidence, and then you have high unemployment numbers, which we are having. JP Morgan predicts the unemployment rate can get as high as 40%. We already have 21 million, 22 million unemployed right now. That's just those who can access the system. Many people are telling me in these states that, such as Illinois and Florida and New York and New Jersey, out west in California, that they couldn't even access the system. The system was crashing, the unemployment websites, that is, in these states, okay? Because so many people, those who are able to access the system that we know of is 21 million. The numbers really could be as high as 30 million right now. And as you know, tomorrow we'll get the updated numbers for the unemployment situation, and they're projecting another 4.5 million people unemployed as of tomorrow, April 23rd in the morning. We'll get those numbers at 9 a.m. So I'm expecting between another 4 to 6 million people to be unemployed as a result of this crisis that we're going through. Okay, another thing to look out for with this debt deflation theory is bankruptcies. Okay, we are going to see bankruptcies with this retail chains, as you know, Macy's, JCPenney's, Nordstrom, A lot of these retail companies, they were dying anyway, anyhow, as anchor stores for these malls that are dying. As we know, that malls have been in decline. If we're honest, the last 15 years, the malls have been in decline. But, this crisis has amplified it. Bankruptcies could be also in airlines. There can only be one or two, maybe 1 to 3 airlines left when it's all said and done, if we ever get out of this thing. And a further fall in asset prices. Like I said, asset prices are falling and commodity prices are falling, such as oil. Housing prices are falling. As you know, houses are staying longer on the market. Sellers are not getting what they're asked for, but they're taking cash deals because they know that the banks have tightened lending requirements. Now you must have a 700 credit score and 20% down. That's a FICO score to get a housing loan, a jumbo loan. So a lot of people who live in high cost of living states like DC, New York, Boston, San Francisco, California, LA, and all that, they're not being able to get access to these jumbo loans. And so housing prices are coming down. Oil prices is coming down. Commercial real estate prices is coming down as these commercial vacancies pile up because of all these strip malls and mom and pop stores that are going to be closing as a result of not being in business for the last month, 4 weeks, due to this health scare. And there's also a contraction of the money supply. And as you can see, there is a liquidity crisis that happens when companies have overextended credit and high debt and no cash on hand to deal with emergencies or to pay employees. And that's what happens when you have an overextension of credit, okay? So we have distress selling. People are selling their gold and silver and other commodities, assets to get cash, liquid cash, to pay their debts and also just to survive until they believe this crisis is ending. And so that's why I feel like we are heading toward a mega deflation event. And the problem with that is that the common people, the regular Americans like you and I that are hardworking, doing our part, we're not going to have enough cash per se to buy the heavy assets, because that's going to be bought by the rich people, the super rich, ultra rich people. The Warren Buffetts, the Jeff Bezos, who are controlling the market, who are still allowed to be open even though we're in a quote unquote shutdown. They're going to be able to come in and just buy up all of the small businesses, buy up all the houses that are foreclosed on. They're going to be foreclosed on because housing is the next bubble to pop. Real estate, also commercial real estate, is the next bubble to pop. We're going to see things like, if you think the food lines are bad now, you haven't seen nothing yet, because there was a supply chain shock even before this virus, because farmers were not able to grow the crops last year because of the floods in the Midwest, if you remember those. And so can you just imagine that, once these grocery stores empty out of food and the distribution centers, or the truckers who drive around the freight get sick? Have you noticed that there hasn't been that many freight trains in your area, whether you're in the Midwest or South, or in the West, or in the Northeast? There hasn't been that many freight trains running. Even before the shutdown, there wasn't that many manufacturing freight trains carrying produce and chemicals and farming equipment, and there just hasn't been that much traffic. And you know that the ports are shut down in Baltimore and Charleston and Jacksonville and San Diego and LA. The ports, shipping ports, have not been having that much traffic. They might have told the workers to go home. So as we continue this deflationary spiral heading toward a depression, we can see that the markets are going to go up. Don't pay attention to the markets. We know that the Dow Jones is fake. What we need to be doing is paying attention to how we're going to survive. And the way we're going to survive is to work together, is to continue to prep with food, water. You want to start buying seeds too as well. Heirloom seeds, either on Amazon or through your Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace Hardware Store or Tractor Supply Company. Go to those places, start getting some seeds, start growing. You can even grow a garden, even if you're in an apartment complex or something like that. You can grow it on your patio, cover it, shade it for next month. Start getting those seeds in the ground, because it's going to be a wonderful investment for your future. Teach your kids, your children, your neighbors how to be more self-sufficient. The more self-sufficient you are away from this economy, the better you're going to be when things do get back. There is not going to be any slow getting back to normal, okay? Once we end this thing. And so this is going to be with us throughout the rest of the year. This is already a fact. And so we have to prepare as best we can. And so what you need to do is also, if you can, any extra money that you have, whether it's $20 or $50 or $30, start, saving that and getting emergency supplies. Now, what happens if we have not only a second, experts are talking about a second wave of coronavirus in the fall or summer, winter, but What happens if we have another black swan event? Let's say we have a blackout, a power outage in the East Coast or the West Coast. Are you prepared to be able to handle that? So start getting emergency cooking stoves. Start getting camping supplies if you don't already have that, to be able to shelter in place so you don't have to go to the FEMA distribution centers when they set those up. Okay, you do not want to be in a FEMA distribution center waiting for food or a potato line or waiting for water or waiting for electric goods or flashlights and stuff like that, or anything to keep you sustained, because it's going to be too many people and crime is going to be going up. Okay, that's what they're trying to control right now. They're testing it right now by having you shelter at place, seeing how long you can do that. Now, I know many of you, of course, are, have security, and as such, that is a good thing as well. So you don't have to be going out and exposing yourself to others who may be a little bit more impatient with what they're seeing, and so you want to be dependent upon the government to provide everything for you, because we're really going back in time. Okay, and unfortunately, no matter how much money they print, how much stimulus they print, it's just not going to be enough to be able to sustain everything that's to sustain the economy. So the economy is going down. No matter if the stock market go up. Remember, Venezuela's stock market went up to 50,000 points. Okay, but look at their economy. They didn't have an economy. Okay. The real economy for the regular people became bartering, and that's what we're going to go back to eventually. Right now, things look stabilized, but it's totally not. Okay, so a barter economy is going to be in effect, where you're going to have to give somebody, somebody may want flour, and somebody else may want a piece of rope, or a tape or something that you need. So think about that. Things like personal hygiene items are going to become key. Shaving. A lot of people were disappointed because they couldn't get a haircut, or a woman couldn't get their hair done. That's going to become, skills like that become valuable. Okay, if you have a set of hair clippers or pet clippers or whatever to shave your dog or shave yourself. Okay, cut your own hair. Those skills will become valuable when things are going to be shut down. So you can imagine when the power goes off. Okay, when we get really deep into this thing, power goes out. Okay, what are you going to do? Okay, if you don't have a generator or solar powered option, or if you don't have a cooking supplies that don't rely on this power grid. Okay, because the infrastructure is going to go down in this next Great Depression that we're going through. It's just a matter of time. Okay, and all that New Deal stuff they're talking about, that's coming after, folks. That's coming after the 10-year period like Japan went through, or 12-year period like these other countries went through. All that infrastructure improvement and all those bills are coming after, but we have to go through this tough time, this transition period with this new economy where we share our utility, if you will, with robots and automation and self-driving cars. Okay, and that's another reason why I think the oil market is crashing, because remember now, Tesla is going up to the moon because Tesla makes what? They make electric cars. So that's another reason why. It's because the world is moving away from that, and they want to get out of the petrodollar and start moving into electronic cars and self-driving cars and all that. In order for the new economy, the new automation economy, the robotic economy, which these super rich owners work, so they don't have to rely on physical labor and they can make more profit, they have to kill the oil, they have to kill the petrodollar, and to kill the dollar in general, to kill this so the new economy is not going to be relied on that, And so even if we do go to a World War III, which I've heard people talk about on these various YouTube channels, it's going to be totally different. It's not going to be a boots on the ground type of thing that you're thinking of, in the traditional type of World War II or whatever. It's not going to be like that. We're in a whole new world, a whole new system that's going to be in place. Okay, so with that being said, continue to prep. Do not be dismayed. We know that there's a lot stacked against us as a common man, but there's things that we can do to help mitigate the damage, because we know what they're trying to do here with the Federal Reserve, which is not federal, by the way, but the Federal Reserve and the White House know what they're trying to do. They're trying to mitigate the damage. They're trying to get ahead of the storm, because they know that things are going to be heading down soon, really, really fast. Okay, so the Dow Jones may go up. All that may go up, but that's not going to matter. Your personal finances, your personal safety is so much more important, and that's why I encourage you to do these things. Okay, so I'm going to leave it right there for today. Try to keep cash on hand. Cash is still king. Do not listen to these experts on CNBC, MSNBC, Fox, or Business News, or CNN. Cash is king. The more cash you have, you'll be able to exchange it for some goods. Cash will never be worth zero, okay? You can be able to exchange it for some goods or services no matter where we are in this economy. And so while we're in this deflationary period, keep your cash close and only spend it on necessity needs. That's one thing that this crisis has shown us, is that we have to cut out our unnecessary spending, such as maybe that means cutting out a gym membership, maybe that means cutting out eating out at these stores. Maybe it's safer to eat at home. With all this corona, hey, who knows? Maybe it's safer to eat at home instead of getting that Chick-fil-A order takeout, or that Cheesecake Factory takeout, or whatever you get, Texas Roadhouse takeout. We can save money, we can have money at the house, and we can eat at home and be safer in our own content. Our family can be safer, and our health can be improved as well, because we're going to need every skill, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, to be able to survive this next depression, which is coming, that nobody's talking about, because the debt loads are too high for America. The debt load is too high for the world, and so they have to reset to a gold standard or to a new currency, but that's going to take time. So you're looking at 5 to 10 years of pain that they're trying to paper over now and print with 5 and 6 stimulus packages. 100, look at the numbers they're throwing around: 100 trillion, 500 trillion. Doesn't even matter anymore. You can tell that it's becoming irrelevant. Helicopter money is becoming irrelevant because the cost of living, the debt load is too high. Everything is too high, and so there has to be a reset. So in order for the reset to occur, we're going to have to experience 10 years of pain, which we've already, we're getting already prepared for, most of us in America. Some of us are still drinking the Kool-Aid that everything's going to be fine, and that we're going to go to a new highs and all this foolishness. It's just not going to happen. We have 350 million people, and we don't produce anything here in America that anybody in the world wants. Okay, China has the production, they have the manpower. Russia has the production, the manpower. Nuclear, everybody has nuclear, but that doesn't matter because we don't produce anything here of substance. Producing masks is not going to get us out of the Great Depression. Okay, that's coming to America. Producing hand sanitizer is not going to get a country out of the depression that's coming. That's $24 trillion in debt. Okay, so let's just forget about the fairy tales and puffy clouds, and this is the reality. But we're going to be okay. God is going to help us get through this. But we have to face reality, and we have to start preparing and doing what we can today while we still have time. This is the relative calm times right now, where you can actually go into a store, albeit with a mask or 6 feet distance, but at least you can go into a store and get some goods and services. The time will come, folks, ladies and gentlemen, where we cannot just go into our grocery store or go into a hardware store and get what we need, because it's just not going to be there, okay? So enjoy your day. Thank God that you're still here, that we're still safe, and that, my heart goes out to those who were affected or are being affected by this sickness. And we just have to count our blessings and continue to press forward with prayers. Blessings to everyone. If you have any questions or comments, if you'd like me to cover something in the future for preparation and survival, please let me know, and I'll get back with you at a later date. So have a great afternoon, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.